The Byzantine Emperor Heraclius was in a very bad mood. As the Muslim army had taken over Emesa, just a stone's throw away from Antioch, where he lived, the emperor decided to mobilize a huge army to defeat these vile enemies. His decision led to one of the most influential battles in human history, the Battle of Yarmouk. Thank you for watching the History and Weapons channel. This is a new small channel. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel and click the like button to support it, so that I can create more videos. You are also welcome to post comments, so that I can know what you think and improve my videos. In 610, Heraclius became the emperor of the Byzantine Empire. The two huge empires of Byzantium and Sassan started a protracted war for the Middle East. While the two great empires were fighting, Muhammad used Islam and strict and effective military control to seize most of the Arabian Peninsula. After Muhammad died in 632, his successors continued to expand, and after a series of wars, the Muslims were so successful that the Muslim armies approached the heart of the Byzantine Empire's provincia Syria. As mentioned at the beginning, the Byzantine Emperor Heraclius was living in Antioch, in provincia Syria. Faced with the Muslim army, the emperor was determined to destroy these suddenly rising enemies. He even allied with the Persian Empire and married his daughter, or grandniece, to the Persian Emperor Yazdijerd III, because Heraclius had married his niece. However, the Persians did not help in the subsequent wars. Heraclius assembled a large army in northern Syria, drawn from all parts of the Byzantine Empire, from distant Europe to native Christian Arabs, under their respective commanders. Vahan, an Armenian, was appointed by the emperor as the supreme front commander. This general himself commanded an Armenian army also. The Byzantine army was also full of internal conflicts and power struggles, and the distrust of people from different regions, all of which directly affected the combat effectiveness of this huge army. This was one of the main factors that affected the outcome of the war. The Muslim army was divided into several small armies because of the conquests in various regions. The Byzantine army intended to break up the Muslim armies, one by one. But soon, the Muslim generals discovered the imperial designs, and on the advice of Khalid, the best Muslim general, the Muslim army abandoned some of the occupied cities and retreated from most of Palestine and Syria to concentrate their forces on the powerful imperial army. The Muslim army retreated to the eastern part of the Yarmouk plain, where they established camps and awaited the arrival of the Byzantine army. In this vast plain, the Yarmouk River flowed in the south. It was very suitable as a battlefield. Both sides were satisfied with the battlefield. The Byzantines thought that the vast plains were suitable for their numerical advantage, and because of the great logistical pressure, the empire thought that a quick defeat of the Muslim army in a decisive battle was the better option. For the Muslim army, the Great Plains were more suitable for the Muslim cavalry, because they had the best cavalry in the Middle East. Although the imperial army was much larger than theirs, the Muslim army was overwhelmingly Arab, and had lived and fought together for a long time, trusting each other and working well together, so they were confident of winning the war. The exact number of participants on both sides is difficult to ascertain because of the age of the war. According to limited records and the inference of the historian, the Byzantine army numbered about 70,000, and the Muslim army about 36,000, a ratio of 2 to 1. When the Byzantine army also reached the Yarmouk plain, the two sides began to confront each other. For more than a month, except for some tentative clashes, neither side made any move. They even started to negotiate. But everyone knew that war was inevitable, and that the negotiations were only a trial and a delay for both sides to prepare for the final battle. On August 15, 636, the war began. Byzantine commander Vahan divided the army into 4 infantry groups, lined up side by side with their backs to the Yarmuk River. Vahan also divided the Byzantine heavy cavalry into 4 equal groups, and formed them behind the infantry groups, to cover the rear and flanks of the infantry. Khalid, the best Muslim general, commanded the Muslim army, and he also divided the infantry into 4 groups, to face the Byzantine army. But unlike the Byzantine army, Khalid formed his best cavalry into a motorized corps, which was under Khalid's command. The rest of the cavalry was scattered behind the infantry flanks, to cover the infantry. The 2 armies took up positions on a 12 kilometers long line. Gentlemen, please note that a 12 kilometers long line was very difficult to observe the battlefield, communicate, and command, especially for the Byzantine army, which was large, complex, and not united. In front of the 2 armies, which met 1 mile apart, both sides began to send their bravest soldiers and officers to fight, one-on-one. It was a stirring spectacle, with more than 100,000 warriors shouting and calling out across the plain, and hundreds of warriors, pair after pair, fighting in the center of the battlefield, until one of them fell. In this duel of classical warriors, the Muslims had a slight advantage, and they won more duel victories. The Byzantine commander Vahan ordered his right-wing infantry formation to advance and make a tentative attack on the enemy. The infantry of both sides began to engage, but in general, only about 1/3 of the soldiers were fighting, and the battle was not fierce, as both sides tried to find each other's weaknesses. Vahan decided to launch an attack before dawn, as the Muslims used to pray early in the morning, and the Byzantines wanted to take advantage of the situation. However, the huge Byzantine army heading to the battlefield was soon discovered by the Muslim outposts, and the 2 sides continued to confront each other on the battlefield. Vahan decided to attack the Muslims from both flanks, and the Byzantine army began to attack. With the Muslims' left and right flanks under great pressure, Khalid immediately sent his best motorized cavalry regiment to the right flank, attacked the enemy from the flank of the Byzantine infantry formation. The Byzantine soldiers were forced to retreat, in the face of a 3-pronged attack. Strangely enough, the Byzantine cavalry did nothing, and allowed the Muslim cavalry to organize a counterattack at ease, especially the Byzantine heavy cavalry, which stood by and watched. While the Muslim cavalry was rescuing the right flank, the battle on the left side was also raging, with the Byzantine heavy infantry formation formed by the Slavs, using the classic Roman tortoise formation, defeating the Muslim infantry, with the Muslim soldiers barely holding on, and retreating to near the camp. By this time, the left flank of the Muslim middle army was already defenseless, and the Byzantines could have won immediately by concentrating their cavalry on this area. But perhaps the Byzantine commander Vahan did not notice this opportunity, and it was not even clear whether he could command his men effectively. Just as the Muslim formation on the left was about to collapse, women from the Muslim camp came behind the formation with wooden poles, and sang loudly to inspire their husbands and brothers. The Muslim soldiers gathered the courage to hold off the Byzantine infantry and stabilize the line. By this time, the Muslim army had stabilized the right flank, and Khalid immediately deployed his elite cavalry to the left flank, and again launched a siege on the Byzantine infantry formation, which again lost sight of the Byzantine cavalry. Under the combined attack of the enemy cavalry and infantry, the brave Byzantine infantry was able to maintain their formation, without collapsing, and finally returned to the Byzantine line, which was already a remarkable feat. As the sun sank in the west, the second day of the battle was over. Vahan decided to concentrate his forces on the right flank of the Muslims. Since the terrain was relatively flat, he finally decided to put the Byzantine cavalry into the battle more actively, to complement the infantry. The Byzantines attacked hard, and pushed the Muslim infantry line back. The Muslim infantry was once again pushed back near the camp. The Byzantines had a point to battle again, but the Byzantines failed to launch a full-scale attack and delivered a fatal blow, letting the victory slip away again. Sensing that the situation was critical, Khalid again threw in his elite cavalry regiment, and put in all his reserves to attack the Byzantine infantry on both sides. The battle was very bloody, and both sides lost a lot of soldiers. Fighting until the evening, the Byzantines failed to defeat the Muslim line on the right flank, and were forced to fall back to their starting positions. The third day of the battle ended, with the coming of night. After 3 days of heavy fighting, both sides had learned the strengths and weaknesses of their opponents. Vahan thought that the tactic of breaking through the Muslim right flank was the right one, but it required more forces. Therefore, once the battle started, the Byzantine army concentrated a lot of forces and attacked the right flank of the Muslim army. Khalid faces a critical situation and leads his elite cavalry regiment to the right flank to rescue them. In order to prevent the Byzantines from launching a full-scale attack, when they had gained an advantage on the right flank, Khalid ordered the Muslim army in the middle and left flanks to attack the Byzantine army on the opposite side first. The battle came to a fever pitch. On the right, Khalid divided his elite cavalry into 2 groups and encircled the Byzantine infantry from the left and right. On the other side of the battlefield, the Muslim left flank, which had taken the initiative to attack, was blocked by the Byzantine archers, who shot arrows from the Byzantine archers that blotted out the sky, and although the arrows that were thrown did not penetrate the armor and helmets of the Muslim infantry, many Muslim soldiers lost their sight to Byzantine arrows, which thereafter became known as the Day of Lost Eyes. After the Muslim army repelled the Byzantine attack on the right flank, the Muslim army on the left flank also began to retreat. To prevent the Byzantine army from following and attacking, Khalid's childhood friend, Ikrimah, led 400 cavalrymen to cover the infantry retreat, and all died in the battle. Both sides suffered great losses in this battle. The Byzantine army, in particular, was repeatedly reversed when they had the upper hand, and their morale was greatly affected. On the contrary, the Muslim army held the line in many crises, which boosted the morale of the Muslim soldiers. The Byzantines had not only failed to win, but had suffered huge losses during the previous 4 days of heavy fighting. And Vahan had discovered the weakness of his army's lack of unity and coordination. So he sent an emissary to the Muslim camp early in the morning to ask for negotiations. He wanted to take the opportunity to reorganize his army and give the tired Byzantine army a respite. But Khalid saw through the scheme and refused the offer of negotiation. Nevertheless, neither side fought on the 4th day, preparing for the showdown. And Khalid found the weakness in the Byzantine army. The Byzantine infantry was very strong, but the cavalry was useless. The light cavalry could not stand up to the elite Muslim cavalry, and the well-equipped Byzantine heavy cavalry did nothing for the first 4 days, and was scattered behind the Byzantine infantry corps, unable to make the powerful impact of the heavy cavalry. He made a bold decision. to concentrate all his cavalry into a single cavalry regiment of 8,000 men, which he would use to detour behind the Byzantine line and crush the scattered Byzantine cavalry in one fell swoop. At the back of the Byzantine army, there was a bridge over a 200-meter deep gorge, which was the way for the Byzantines to leave the battlefield. Khalid sent 500 cavalries around the Byzantine army at night to occupy the bridge and cut off the Byzantines' escape route. This shows that Khalid was confident of victory the next day. This was the last day of the battle. In the beginning, Khalid ordered his entire army to attack, using infantry to draw all the Byzantine forces, and then his cavalry regiment went around the line and started attacking the Byzantine cavalry in the rear. Along the way, the Byzantine cavalry squads trying to hold off the Muslim cavalry were routed, and Vahan noticed the unusual advance of the Muslim cavalry and immediately knew what Khalid was up to. He ordered the heavy cavalry, which was distributed behind the infantry formations, to assemble. But just as the Byzantine heavy cavalry began to assemble, the moment when the cavalry was most vulnerable, the Muslim cavalry was in front of them. The Byzantine heavy cavalry was defeated by the Muslim cavalry in an instant, and the Byzantine cavalry fled in all directions. The Byzantine infantry, who had lost their cavalry cover, was attacked from behind by the Muslim cavalry, and the Byzantine infantry began to collapse under the attack from the front and the back. Their only way of escape, the bridge, had already been occupied by the Muslim cavalry. When the news of the defeat reached Antioch, Heraclius was angry and frustrated. All the available forces of the empire were lost on the battlefield of Yarmouk, and he could only admit the defeat. He even considered his own sins, including his marriage to his niece, as the cause of the empire's defeat. He had to give up Provincia Syria, which had been in the hands of the Roman Empire for 702 years, since 64 BC. The Byzantine emperor, with the true cross and other holy relics, left here and returned to Constantinople. The emperor was said to have said the following words before sailing: "Farewell, a long farewell to Syria, my fair province. Thou art an infidel's now. Peace be with you, O Syria. What a beautiful land you will be for the enemy's hands." Looking back at the battle, the Byzantine army was defeated mainly because the imperial army came from different provinces of the empire, lacked coordination, and was full of internal power struggles that prevented the unification of command. The Byzantine army missed many opportunities to win. The Muslim, on the other hand, was a rising force, and its unity and determination, as well as the rapid and effective transmission and execution of the will of its leader, were the key to its victory. Historian George F. Nafziger, in his book, Islam at War, says that, although Yarmouk is little known today, it is one of the most decisive battles in human history. Had Heraclius' forces prevailed, the modern world would be so changed as to be unrecognizable. But I believe that the Byzantine Empire is aging, and that the salad-style imperial army and the power struggles are the inevitable products of an aging civilization. In the Middle East, the Byzantine Empire had lost its strength in years of war, and could not afford a defeat. Even if the Muslim army loses the Battle of Yarmouk, the rising Muslim power will defeat the empire in the next battle. History has contingent events and inevitable trends. For people now, history is not a hypothesis. It has already happened and cannot be changed. And the future, perhaps, is predetermined.